Hello friends, you're with a Lonesome Gamer, and today I'm gonna play Lobotomy. The new title by Titanforge Games. Now, for the people out there who don't know what a lobotomy actually means, it was some pretty pervert surgery which was practiced, well, I think until the 70s or so of the 20th century. And it was a kind of a brain surgery where some specific knives were inserted in your brain from small holes on the side, or during a later process they kind of did it through your ear, or they made a through the next to the ear, basically, where the bone is very thin, and they put some kind of specific tool in your brain and try to destroy some different nerves and some of the brain mass, and people thought that would help the people with some mental disorders. So, but it was never really proven, and actually most of the people suffered even more from that. I think Kennedy's sister was actually also treated with a lobotomy, and not to the best for her. So, and actually the goal of the game is to escape from the mental hospital before the warden will perform a lobotomy on you. Okay, so let's set up the game. Okay, the game is set, and well, setting up this game is really a big deal. It takes a long time to do that. So I just want to explain shortly what you got to do, because I realized there are not too many videos out there about this, so maybe that can help you a little bit. First, you want a scenario. So basically the goal of the game is to escape from this asylum, and to do that you need to solve a number of scenarios. You can choose between 1 to 4, and the rules say the more you choose, the harder it gets. So I've chosen now 2 scenarios. That's the standard difficulty. Well, that means that we have here the scenario cards. You can see there are quite a few of them. And we've drawn the first one. The second one we don't know yet. And that is the 13th day of Christmas. And we follow the setup instructions of the scenario. There are not too many though. There is basically that we need this tile here, the chapel. The other 3 are random, and there are quite a few. There are, I think, 10 or so. They're both double-sided, so you can build lots of maps, and not every map is determined by the scenario. Usually 1 tile or no tiles at all are determined, and you can do this all randomly, which is something I really like. Then we had a basic instructions here. That means we got to place 3 tokens, incense tokens here in the chapel. In addition, we got to place randomly 3 of these haunted altars in the adjacent tiles of the chapel. Now, if there was usually you would have also placed one here in the very corner on the opposite tile, but because we're only playing with 3 players, we don't do that. There are handicaps if you play with less than 5 players. With 4 players it becomes a little easier, and with 3 players it becomes even more easy. Well, it's still pretty hard. Now they came up with a simple solution to randomize any items or monsters or whatever that you want to place on the board. Some spaces have numbers on them, exactly 12 on each tile. So if you're instructed to simply place something on a random space here, you simply roll a 12-sided die that comes with the game and then place the thing there. In addition, if you are instructed to randomize any object somewhere on the board, we use this 4-sider over here, and we have here number A, number B, so we start, this is number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And if the scenario tells you to use a specific tile, you always place it at E. Well, I think basically it's not that important, but that's what the scenario tells us. Okay, in addition, what you do is you place doors on the map. And they're also randomized. So you have, you can see that here, there are highlighted spaces. There is this light white shining around this black area, and that means a door has to be placed there. There are some other door spaces where this is not the case. For example, here. Okay, you can see the difference maybe if you see that and if you see that. There is this white thing there. Now, here it is kind of, you don't have to place a door there, but you can if you like. So what I did is, on a 1 or 2 on a 6-sided die, I placed a door there, otherwise I would not do it. They say you can, if there is a door it becomes a little harder, so you can kind of adjust the map here in any way you wish. And it also gives you even more randomness if you do it with die rolls, for example. In addition, you place these lockers. Here, you can see here there is this little shadow. It is sometimes hard to see. That's a little bit of a problem here. But you can see this rectangular shadow here. Sometimes, over there, for example, you can see it too. So we also place there lockers. And later on you can search these and find useful items there. There are usually about 3 to 5 on each tile. Finally, we place these bodies here. One of these bodies, and that is also randomized. They are all a little different on the other side. So you draw blindly and place the doors, the lockers, and the bodies. They all have specific information on the other side. One goes in the middle, one of these bodies, and then you remove on each space one locker and place instead a body there. So we have one here, another one over there, we got one here, and the other one is actually here. Now, in addition, you place these memory shrines, or in the basic version they come as simple tokens with a brain on them. I wonder where they are. There they go. Okay, and you also randomize 2 of them on each tile. Finally, you place the starting monsters, So we got one scavenger, which is this guy here. And yeah, he looks like this. And by the way, these minis have a real good quality. They're not quite as good as, let's say, the Fantasy Flight minis in Talisman. Maybe not quite as good as the Zombicide miniatures, but close. They really are. I was very afraid that the minis were bad, and I think on some videos and on some pictures they didn't look too great, but they feel good. They are not as clumsy and lightweighted as, for example, the Shadows of Brimstone minis. They feel solid. They feel, yeah, and they also look very good. And they might not be too detailed, but the basic idea, the design of the minis is so great often that I'm definitely happy with them. No complaints here. Okay, now we placed one scavenger randomly on each tile, and then we got these mental patients, these guys here, and they look like this. I definitely want to paint these. I think that makes it even much more attractive. And we also placed one of these mental patients on each tile. Now if you play with more than 3, I think there will be also one of these nuns or nurses placed. But for now, that is all what we start with. Finally, the Warden, this guy here. This is our, well, the last boss, you could say. Something like the great old one in Arkham Horror. This is here, the Warden. And this is the guy who is placed on space 1 of track A. And he works as a timer. So on most of these movement cards, there is a symbol for the Warden, and if that symbol shows up, you move this guy 1 space, from space 1 to space 2, and so on. Now, I already mentioned there are 12 of these numbered spaces on each tile, and if the guy is at space 12 and you have to move him again, then he moves to the center of the board and starts following the orders here on the cards, and that basically means that he will kill you in the most terrible way. And you usually don't have a chance. It's pretty much like the old ones in Arkham Horror, the bad old ones in Arkham Horror that are nearly impossible to kill. And I think the Warden is pretty much like that too. Now, if you play more than one scenario, like we do, we play 2 scenarios, then the Warden moves from space 12 in the A tile to space 1 in the B tile. Okay, and then he continues his movement here until he ends up at space 12, and from there he then moves here, and then the final battle is kind of triggered. And so on. If you play 3 scenarios, he also moves through the C tiles, or with 4 also through the D tile. But this is actually not the end of the setup. Apart from the fact that we have to shuffle a ton of cards here. Down here we have items. These are the mental issues that the players can gain, and these are basically special abilities. These are memories, which can also help the players. Sometimes they can cause problems, but even the bad ones you can then collect, and then after a while you can trade them away for something better. I use these artifacts, well, we don't need that. I use these artifacts for house rule. Of course, the scenarios down there. The movement cards for the monster movement, and a little bit like the Mythos cards in Arkham Horror. In addition, we have now our 3 characters, and well, every player draws one or chooses one. I've done that randomly. Each character comes with a starting equipment here, and I always make that mistake in Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror, and also here, of course. Shuffle all the cards and then start searching for the equipment. Of course, it makes sense to do it the other way around. First, search your equipment, and then you shuffle the cards. Okay, so apart from that, each character has 4 abilities. These here, these are the ability cards. 4 for each character, and they can pick 2 of them. Okay, the other 2 go in here in that pile, and they can gain these 2 later during the game. So let me see, for example, yeah, this is one of this personal only card is one of the special abilities of Marcus Dieter. In addition to that, we have to prepare a memory deck for each character. Each character has 5 unique memories. Then you draw from these, well, I don't know, generic memory cards or whatever you want to call them, common memory cards. You draw also 5. So that you got 10 memory cards then all together. You shuffle these, and this gives them, each character, his unique memory deck with a little bit of personal flavor. But that's not all. We continue. You can see here the mental disorders. Each character has a few of these. For example, he has schizophrenia and anxiety neurosis. So what you then do is you draw 1 card from the schizophrenia deck and 1 from the anxiety neurosis deck, and you can pick 1 of these cards, and the other card is discarded or shuffled back in. Okay. And then basically, once you've done that, the setup is complete. But as I said, even the setup with the board takes a long time. Placing all the doors, all the lockers, randomizing all that, the special instructions for the scenario. This is something that takes a while. And I mean, yeah, you can imagine. Let's take a closer look at the characters. Well, I think all the characters, although I don't know for sure, are a reference to some famous horror movies or horror novels. Sadly, I don't know too many of that genre, so I cannot say. I mean, of course I know Ellen D. Ridley. Ellen D. Ridley's case became a nuisance after she claimed multiple alien abductions. However, mutilations proved to be self-induced and no trace of implants was ever found. Currently treated for Capgras delusion and psychosis. Okay, she's got a special ability. This says Monster's Mother. Choose a type of a basic monster. Basic monsters are scavengers, mental patient, or the nurse. There is, by the way, also basic written here. Choose a type of a basic monster at the beginning of the game. You can leave spaces with monsters of that type on them and gain an extra fight dice against them. When you die, place one such monster on the space you died on. 2 if you choose mental patient. Well, okay, I think I will actually choose the mental patient. The nurses are harder to kill, but there are not so many usually. And I think the mental patient is harder to kill than the scavenger, so therefore, yeah, I guess we take the mental patient. Now these are her stats. This arrow shows the number of actions she can do during each turn. These are her life points. This is a combat value, and it's pretty simple. During combat, you roll a number of die depending on the weapon, and you hit if the number, if there is, or let's say it that way, each die that is equal or higher than your combat value is a hit. This is the defense value. So that's also pretty standard. If you take any hits, you can subtract your defense value from the number of hits, and then only what's left is the actual loss of health you will take. And this here is the imagination rating. Well, that is basically used for all kinds of tests. You know, you could say in other games you have ability tests and strength tests and whatever, horror checks and so on. And this is all covered by this single rating. And actually I think that's fine. And as I said, here we have some the starting stuff she gets. And down here, this is her, you can say, brain map if you want to use a Sierra Madre term. And that basically shows at which level her sanity is. And we will come to this a little later then. And here you simply place the hits she took. So these are very functional sheets, I think. So I just want to give you a short overview of what she starts. She has a crowbar. Well, that allows her to use 5 dice during combat, and she can open doors with that. But if she does that, it will slowly destroy the crowbar. She can use the ambush, move 1 space in any direction and stun all monsters on the space you arrive on. Well, I will not go into detail what that means, but explain it a little later. Escape velocity, move 2 spaces in any direction, ignore monsters. Gain +2 defense for this round. Pretty self-explanatory. And Flame On, that's a pretty strong combat card. So here we have Ellison and Cameron. And if you know from which movie or novel she is, let me know. I'm interested in that. It says here, Ellison was a respected doctor until she overdosed on hallucinogens during one night shift. Her depression and the following addiction is the result of an abusive relationship with her superior. She claims that she is supplied in narcotics by her cat, Cameron. Now, again, a little less movement, less hit points than Ridley. In addition, she has a worse combat rating. She only hits on a 6 with a 6-sider. 1 defense, pretty good imagination rating though. She has the rapid eye movement. Use a charge on a drug and 1 action to attack with 8 dice, +2 to attack rolls, and a range of 3. This is massive. This is an amazingly strong attack. She starts with a random drug and with Cameron the cat. Now let's take a look at Cameron the cat. Cameron mostly naps and hunts for rats and flies around the hospital like a normal cat. He's extremely evasive and is impossible to pet by anyone else than Ellison. You can swear he winks at you every time you look at him. So we see also a standard number of actions, not the highest imagination rating. Monster do not see or attack the cat. It has stealth permanently, which means it can basically simply ignore the monsters. Can open doors and search lockers. It can carry one item, not a scenario objective. Picking up another item results in discarding previous item. Cameron has to always be in range 5 from Ellison. If he is not, he has to use actions to move towards Ellison via the shortest route. Okay. Now Ellison has Temat's palm, which allows her to recover health, but she will probably use that for her special attacks. She can use that. This indicates how often she can use that. So she can use that 3 times to do her attack. Use a charge on a drug and 1 action. Then she's got the bloodbath. Put 3 life tokens on your space. Any character on that space may use 1 action to remove a token and recover 1 life point. So yeah, kind of a healing ability. I'm pretty sure she doesn't have to take the 3 life points from herself. I guess you just take 3 life points. Bad Kitty. All monsters on the space with the cat are stunned. So we've heard about that stun thing before, and I will explain later what that means. Afterwards, move the cat 3 spaces in any direction. And a lucid dream. Attack with your rapid eye movement ability. So using a drug and an action for this amazingly strong ability. This attack does not require you to lose a drug, gains an extra die, and fire or power. So these are, kind of special modifiers then. Finally, we come to Marcus Dieter. I don't know this guy too. I have no idea on who he could refer to. Dr. Marcus Dieter specialized in transplantology. He was always considered psychotic and paranoid among his peers, so nobody was surprised when he finally got institutionalized. The real shock came when the contents of his private lab were revealed. Okay, now he also has 3 actions, which is basically the standard value, you could say. She's got a little better hit point value. Also, this kind of standard combat value 5 is what most characters have. He does not have a defense though, and he's got a solid imagination rating. He suffers from God syndrome. Lose 1 life to recover 2 life to a character on the same space once per round. Well, I'm really not sure, but I assume he cannot do this on himself. Maybe I can find a way to check that. If not, I will simply play it that he's not allowed to do it. That would be extremely strong, and I think that should not be possible here. Yeah, okay. Let's see what equipment he has. He's got the lobotomy spike, good weapon. Oh, well, not that great, but it's okay. He's got here the circle of protection. You are immune to all attack effects this round, like fire, ghostly, power, frost, etc. The personal only. Move 3 spaces in any direction. Ignore monsters. Gain +2 defense for this round. Okay. And then the backside manner. Recover 3 wounds to you or a character on the same space as you. Or recover 1 sanity to you or a character on the same space as you. Or decrease the cooldown of a skill other than this by 3. I will explain what this cooldown means a little later. Okay, so this is basically the introduction, and now we're ready to start. Just a few more words on the scenario. As I said, we've done that randomly. The 13th day of Christmas. Bring the incense, or incense, I'm not sure how the pronunciation is. The incense to haunted spaces and exorcise all 3 of them. And you do that when on the space with an incense token, a character can pay 1 action point to pick it up. The incense does not take any space in inventory, is tradable, and a character can carry only 1. When a character with the incense is on a space with a haunting token, well, these are these altars here, he can pay 1 action point to exercise and remove the haunting token from the board. Exercising does not remove the incense from inventory. Oh, that's interesting. So basically he can use that thing more than once. Okay. Yeah, and then there are a few special things happening. They are triggered by symbols on the movement card, and they are different in each scenario. And that's basically it. One issue with the game is it does not offer a player aid or player aids. And that is really problematic because there are lots of symbols. You have to know all these here. And then there are lots of specific keywords you have to know. Actually 2 sides of them. So that is pretty ridiculous. Luckily, someone has took the effort and posted some player aid on BGG. So thanks for that, and I'm going to use that. However, I found out that this is not always in correspondence with the rules. There are a few details here and there. I'm not sure if the rules maybe are now already rewritten or something, or if this thing is wrong. I'm going to follow the rules that I have. I also have some FAQs which I take into account. But if there is something which is not covered by the FAQs, I'm going to follow the rules and not this player aid here. But as I said, it's only a few details. So, let's start the game. We have here our first player token. So, Mrs. Ridley will go first. Now, she has 4 actions. And basically what she can do is she can move, and each action gives you 1 movement point, so you can simply move from 1 space to an adjacent space. She can attack, This is also an action. She can search a locker, which is an action. She can activate doors. So that means if she stands in a space with a door, she can flip the token, and if that door should be locked, she gets a free attempt to open the door. But only one attempt. So that is searching, opening doors, or we could simply say interact with the objects on the board. She can move, she can attack. She can use one of these actions here, and they indicate the cost. These can be different. In this case, it's, or one of her skills, that's how they're called, not actions. In this case, it's one. I wonder if there is anywhere more. Here, this says, for example, cost none. Okay. Now, I'm not absolutely sure if these special abilities here, I don't think they cost actions, basically. Here it says lose 1 and recover 2 to a character on the same space. I think that does not cost an action, because here it clearly states that you have to spend an action to do this thing. So therefore, I guess if it is not stated, you don't have to spend an action. And by the way, I'm going to place this mental patient here to indicate that he's the mother of one of these guys, or she's the mother of one of these guys. Okay, so the goal is to bring these markers on one of these spaces. And honestly, compared to some other scenarios that I've played before, that seems actually pretty easy. So let's see if we can do that quickly so that we have more time for the next one. But I might be wrong with that too. So, as I mentioned, I've placed a door here. And these monsters and these, they will all move out here. So that will be a problem if we want to enter here. But we don't have to do that. We could also enter here, for example, or even there. This is not a door. So, yeah, I might... Well, I wonder if I can lure this guy out here and then move in, but I think I'm actually strong enough to simply kill him. Okay, so by the way, I can announce that I want to run during this turn. That means I have to spend all my action points for movement, but I have 2 additional action points. So I got 4 action points, and I could then move 6 spaces. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is exactly what I want to do, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So 1, 2. I wonder if there is... Well, we could also enter the church from here, but that is not the best idea. I think I will take the main entrance. 3, 4... Wait a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could move here, but then I would get attacked by this scavenger in the next turn, because he can move 2 spaces. So I will remain here, and that's all I'm going to do for now. Ellison and Cameron. And by the way, I can give you a quick look here at these Minis, now that is Ridley. This is Ellison. Cameron. And here we have the Doctor. So, I think with her, I actually want to simply move. I have to learn to play them both as a team. It seems not so easy, actually. Well, okay, I think with her I want to move out here. And I can search that body. Yeah, it doesn't say she can search bodies. It just says she opens doors and search lockers. Okay, now I got 3 actions, so I move 1. Then I'm going to search that body with a second action. That works very simple. I simply flip it, and that indicates that we found an equipment token. So we can draw from this deck. And we found a medical history. Draw a card from any mental disorder deck. Replace one of your skills, even a basic skill, with it, or discard it. That's a tough one. Okay, I'm gonna hold on to that. I think I want to use that maybe later, but I don't want to discard these skills, so Okay, we're already getting a problem here with the room, but let's see. Maybe I have to move that whole board a little more to the right. Okay, so I got 1 action point left with her, and I think she wants to gear up, so I might want to go somewhere where there is a lot to find but not too many monsters. It seems to me like this is an interesting area. I have to move through the door somehow, but there is also something to do for the cat and for myself. So I can try to grab all kinds of things and maybe then also give them to other players. I think 2 players should be good enough, or 2 characters should be good enough to grab these tokens. One can move here then, and the other one can then go here. Exactly. So I'm gonna let her move another space here, and the cat has also 3 movement points. 1, 2, 3. The thing is, I want the... Do I want the monsters? No, I don't want to fight these monsters, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will go for the closest character, so it's not sure. Well, they cannot go through here. There is no connection. So they will go this way as long as I'm standing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I bring the cat here, they might go for the cat. So I think for now I will simply move with her also here. And that's it then. I mean, what happens if I try it from the other side with her? She can only be 5 spaces away, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is pretty much. No, I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm going to stay there. And then finally, we got this guy here. And he also wants to enter this chapel area. So he will also run. He's got 3 actions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because running gives you 2 additional action points. Okay, that is actually now the end of the player's turn. And now it's the monsters, and we draw one of these movement cards. And, well, we go through these movement cards from top to bottom. So first it says no event this time, which is pretty good. Then we come to this red token here. This is a memory shrine, so that means another memory shrine will be placed randomly on the board. So let's see where that ends up, where we get a 2 and an 11. So let's take this one and simply place it here. And then we got this Warden symbol. So that means that the Warden will move 1 additional space, as we could expect. By the way, if you are on the same space, or if you are on the space when the Warden moves onto it, or I think even if you share the space for any reason with the Warden, you get some trouble. He kind of gives you a hit, which will... I'm not sure exactly what happens, but you want to avoid that. And it shouldn't be too hard to avoid. So, yeah, I think you lose a few life points and you miss a turn or something like that. I'm not sure about that. But it's definitely not a great idea. Okay, and then what we got to do is now we have to follow the instructions for the blue star. The specific scenario instructions, and they say door tokens will be put on the door spaces highlighted of rooms containing characters. So that means doors are mysteriously shut behind you. So luckily in this area there are no doors that we have opened, so there is no event here. And usually now we had to spawn these guys, but because it's a blue event marker, a blue star here, that indicates that we instead spawn an elite monster. I will follow a house rule because that would also indicate that you would basically never spawn these 2 guys down here. So I'll say the following: if there are 3 elite monsters on the board, instead you spawn these monsters down here. So, by the way, this is a game where you can do a ton of house rules, just in any way you want to do it. It's just fun to do it. Okay, so let's bring now a random elite monster into play. Okay, so we have a Guardian here, and there is also, I think it is kind of a production issue here. There is a blue star, which should indicate that it is an elite monster. On the other hand, we also have some elite monsters that don't have that star, but it is written here elite, so I guess these are 2 elite monsters, but for some reason they simply don't have the star. Actually, only these Kickstarter exclusives guys, or they have this blue star. The others from the standard game don't. And it's a similar thing with the boss monsters. There are some with a red star, like this, but many of them which don't have a red star. So that is a little confusing. I will treat them all the same, basically. So we see now that Guardian here. Here is the mini for her. And now she has a range of 1, an immunity to all kinds of stuff. She attacks with 7 dice, all players in range. That is pretty dangerous. And if we have a green star, it says +1 action for this turn. If it is a red star, it says recover to full health, which is bad. Okay, now we place that here. I forgot one thing. Before we spawn the monsters, we have to move the monsters on the board. So first you move them, then you spawn them. Movement is pretty simple. First of all, the monsters attack the closest character which is in line of sight. If no character is in line of sight, they simply, or they go after the closest character which is in line of sight. If there is no character in line of sight, then they go simply after the closest character. So let's start with the mental patience, and we already have to count a little bit here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So that means this guy has a movement value of 1, so he moves her, going after him. And yeah, okay, this guy goes basically. And by the way, these monsters can move through unrevealed door tokens. If a door is blocked or locked after it is revealed, then they cannot move through these tokens. But as long as the tokens are not revealed, the monsters can move through them. So I'm going to move with him a space. And by the way, the rules also suggest that you don't exactly have to count all the time. If the monsters are far away, you just follow your instinct, okay? Okay, this guy, and by the way, the monsters have also these action points, okay? You can see that here. This guy has 2 action points. This guy has only 1 action point. Now that is simply the number of spaces they are allowed to move. And now this guy, for example, will move 2 spaces, so he will move here. This guy moves also 2 spaces, goes right here. Another mental patient, he will move here. And this guy here can move 2 spaces, and he will move now through this door. Then we have this one here. Now let's see what is the easiest way out for him. I guess probably like this. It's a little complicated here, but he moves here. And then we got this guy, and this is kind of interesting. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it is definitely shorter if he moves back first and then goes like that. Okay, now if the monsters would have ended in the same space as a character, we would see a combat after movement. Now we will spawn, well actually we see the combat after spawning the new monsters. So what we do is we spawn now this Guardian, and if you should spawn on a space of a character or adjacent to a space, because this guy has a range of 1, then we will see a combat. So that is a 4 and a 5. So that means the Guardian will show up in this space Well, that's not good news for Ellison. She might maybe reconsider going there, but we'll see about that. I mean, with her rapid eye movement, she's pretty good. On the other hand, this guy has a defense of 3, which is massive. He's got an attack value of 4, meaning that he hits on a 4 or higher, and he's got 6 life points. So this guy is really hard to kill. But I see, he's got a movement value of 0. So that means he does not move. Luckily, he stands not next to one of our altars. So therefore, we might consider, well, are these 2 rooms? Yes. Okay, so as long as we don't enter that room or this area here, we actually don't have a problem. We don't have to face him. Or her. Okay, so we don't see combat, and let's do one more turn. So the first player token now goes to the next player, and this is again Ellison now. Okay, I think for now I still follow the plan, and I'm gonna move down here, and then we see what happens. So she can move, well, 3 actions. That is not enough to open a door. So yeah, I think she simply, it doesn't matter, she could run, but she don't need to. So therefore she simply moves 1 space, 2 spaces, 3 spaces. If she would run, she would not be allowed to activate the door anyway. So she can only get up here. And I let the cat run though. She can move then 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the next turn she can try to enter here. Well, actually the cat is a guy. Sorry for that. Okay, yeah, that was her turn. And then it's Markus Dieter. Now let's see, we got this guy here. That scavenger, which is not very nice looking. But he really screams to get the lobotomy spike into his face. So I guess that's what I want to do here. Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to move 1. Nah, it's not that easy. Yeah, if I move all my 3 spaces, then I cannot attack anymore. Therefore, I think I want to do it anyway. By the way, one important rule. You cannot leave spaces that you share with monsters. That is a very important rule. It is possible if you have special abilities, like for example Cameron with her stealth or with his stealth ability, or Ellen Ridley. She can also leave spaces with the mental patients. But in general, that is forbidden. Anyway, I'm going to place this guy right here because we want to enter the chapel. So therefore, we basically have to go there. And she then will use her first action to enter that space. And with her next action, she's going to attack that scavenger. And this is probably the easiest guy to take out. Let's grab some dice. So the scavenger has 0 defense, which is very good. He's got 3 life points and no specific abilities. Well, that's not quite true. He's got some attack ability. But as long as we finish him off right now, we're fine. So we need to do 3 hits to kill the scavenger. And there are now basically 3 ways of attacking. The first one is I can do it with my bare hands. I can use my fists. Now that means I could roll 3 dice, and each die which is equal or higher than my combat value is a hit. Now, considering that I only have 2 actions left and that I need to do 3 damage, I think that's a little risky. Because if I don't kill him in this turn, he will fight back and attack us. And we kind of want to avoid that. Now, the other way to attack, instead of using the fists, is with a weapon. And here we have the crowbar, and there is indicated what to do during this attack. The third way to attack is to use one of your skills, which is one of these 3. These are usually more powerful, but they're pretty restricted in use. And I will explain that a little later. So I simply will take the crowbar here. That says I can use 5 dice. I could also use 2 of these charges. You can see here that crowbar has 6 possible hammer symbols. So I can place 6 hammer symbols on there before it is destroyed. So I could place 2 there and 1 action to remove a door token from a space, which is not what I want to do now. I want to fight. So I'm simply going to roll these 5 dice. Okay, now a 5 or a 6 is a hit. If I roll at least a single 1, I will have to place a charge marker or some used marker here. So in time, these things will be destroyed. It's important to note that not for everyone I have to place a marker there. Only if I roll a 1, I place a marker, and the additional ones don't matter. And you got to do this in each attack that you use that weapon. So let's see, 5 dice, and that was okay. Basically, we did 2 hits here, and we rolled 2 ones. So I need the markers. Okay, so these are the markers that you use for all kinds of stuff. I usually use the red ones. I think it is not specified in the rules. I use the red ones for wounds and the blue ones for the rest. So in this case, I'm going to place that marker here. Okay. And I could place 2 wounds next to this guy here, but because I'm going to do another attack, maybe I can kill him right away. Again with the crowbar. I could now use my fist, but I don't want to risk anything. And I'm fine, sadly, again a 1. So we place another 1 here, but we killed this guy. Okay, now killing a monster gives you a reward, but that reward applies to these special abilities. If we had used a special ability, then we could now use the reward. Sadly, so in this case it doesn't matter, and therefore I'm not gonna start explaining what exactly that does. So we remove the monster simply, and that's it. That's the end of the turn then. The way is free to get into the chapel. Until now it seems all pretty easy. It will be probably a little harder to move out again because these 2 suckers will end up here. But they are not a real threat, I think. So this seems to be a very simple scenario compared to the ones that I had until now. But we'll see. So we draw now a movement card. And again, no event this time. We have also no star here, so there is no scenario-specific event triggered, no boss monster, no elite monster placed. But we got to spawn another one of these shrines. So that is a 3 and a 12. So that one is right here. And then we got to move the Warden another space. So the Warden moves here. So we got to be a little careful. And the next turn he will end up here, but then he will actually move into the church again. So yeah, we definitely want to avoid that we stand on a space where he ends up. And then we have to spawn now these monsters down here. We didn't spawn them here because we spawned an elite monster. If you spawn because of that blue star. If you spawn an elite monster, you don't have to spawn the guys down there. But now we spawn these. And only in a 5-player game you spawn all 3 monsters. If you play with less players, you spawn only the 2 on the left. So we see here a scavenger and a nun. So again, simply roll the dice. That's a 2 and a 7, so that means... Oh shit, I think I forgot the movement, by the way. Yeah, same thing again. So before we spawn, we have to do the movement. It's a little weird that this is not marked here or something. I'm going to place that guy anyway here and then spawn the other one afterward. So let's start with moving these guys. So this guy moves here. This guy moves here into the corridor through the door. Over here. Yeah. I think now it's faster for him to move through the chapel. So he will probably move back and then move like this instead of moving around. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, actually, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to roll. 1, 2, 3. He moves right. Yeah, okay. So he will actually move around. And then we have this guy here, which moves here. This guy. 1, 2. And this guy doesn't move at all. Down here, this is a patient with only 1 movement point, so he moves here. And this guy moves 2 spaces, so he goes actually here. Okay. And now we will spawn the nun. That is a 3 and a 1. And the nun, oh, wait a second, this is not here. The nun will show up here. Okay. That's it with the second turn. Until now it's a very relaxed game. No big actions. It's looking all very good. And well, let's hope it goes on like that. As I mentioned in the scenarios I played before, it was both, well, yeah, it was both times pretty close, but I didn't manage to win. So we'll see how it works out this time. I'm a little more optimistic. Okay, yeah, hope to see you in the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.